Joe Johnson here. We are thankfully we are here with Cobra Joe Productions at Downtown Hollywood Dream Car Classic, which you've really turned this event up, Joe. Thank you so much, Cobra Joe,
I really
for putting this
appreciate
together.
It's a
and
great
before,
venue, and it's a fantastic man to have here.
It
I want
is.
to shake his hand for coming, and I want to let
My
you interview
pleasure.
him.
Great.
All right, you have a good time.
I had a great time. You know,
the great.
I have so many stories I can tell you. I don't know where to start and where to end. I mean, meet and greet people and the great cars, and then to come in for lunch and have rolled grape leaves. And that's like my hometown. See?
And you're from Hollywood, California, but you could like living in Hollywood, Florida,
Oh,
right?
Yeah, this is strictly all Hollywood. To come into my places that we have in Hollywood and some places in Canada, same thing. Have that rolled grape leaves and all those wonderful foods.
What's great about Hollywood, Florida here is your cars fit in great. I mean, most of them are convertibles, and they fit right in around here. And I heard earlier that your first car that you built and became famous for on television was the Beverly Hillbillies car. Is that correct?
That's correct, and it was such a thrill because going into Beverly Hills, and the producers are in big town Beverly Hills, they wanted an old wreck. I said, where am I going to find an old wreck in Beverly Hills? So I went over down to the River Road, and there was an old feed store there. It was an old feed carrier, and in fact it was an Oldsmobile, and it was all smashed up and banged up and everything. And I took pictures right away and run it over to the producers, and I said, what do you think it is? Oh, that's just great. He said, but you got one thing you got to do. And I said, what's that? You got to put a swinging chair in the back for old Granny.
But did you have to do a lot of customizing to that? Because the car looked pretty rustic, as it was.
Well, the good part about it was that I didn't do a lot of work because I wanted the original rustic,
Sure.
but I did have to go into changing the power of the engine and get the thing for the old Granny to swing on the swinging.
Did you get to be on set when they were filming the television program?
I do that on every set because you got to be able to work out all the problems of whether it was Batman or the Munsters or the Monkees or the Beverly Hillbillies or the Knight Rider or Dukes of Hazzard, you name it. We have to be there.
And I do want to congratulate you on being inducted into the CEMA Hall of Fame. I know it's been a long time coming, long overdue, but certainly you belong there. And, maybe people didn't recognize you as a real car guy, but, I mean, really, these cars are on the road, they're in television, they're classics, they're very, very valuable, and thank you for all the work you've done.
Well, one thing about that was which kind of peeved me is that all the guys over there says, well, we deal in aftermarket parts. Mm-hmm. I said, I was doing aftermarket parts before you guys were even born. I said, but one thing I do about my aftermarket parts, they're all made in USA.
Thank you.
And that's one thing I want to keep it with.
Well, that's been a swing back to made in the USA the past couple of years, and I drive an American car. Very, very proud to drive an American car. Let's talk about the Batmobile, because that's the one that's kind of follows you around, and rightfully so. The Batcopter is here today, the original one and only. There's a Batcycle and the Batmobile. Man, I remember as a kid watching the show and thinking I would love to have one of these cars, and it looks like a Cadillac, but it's not a Cadillac, right? What's underneath?
Well, the Batmobile was the Lincoln Futura.
Okay.
I was touring with Ford Custom Car Caravan, and Iacocco said, I'll let you have one of our props cars. And I paid a whole big $1 for it.
Wow.
So I was able to take that car and swing it around to become the Batmobile.
Now, for the television show, how many Batmobiles did you have in rotation there for the show?
Well, we had stunt cars, crash cars, drive cars, 8 different cars that were used for different scenes.
Right.
Because that car, number 1 car, I did not want to take a chance of hurting it because Adam and Bert was always in there, and that's the one that they drove. The stunt car was done by our stunt car, the crash car, and then there was the dull car. We had a dull color so you wouldn't see it at night. So there was many things we had to apply for.
Where is the original Batmobile today?
The original Batmobile, my daughter and I, we all decided that we'd like to see it get out again and become a public part rather than just sitting in our showroom in North Hollywood. So we took it to the Barris auction.
Nice, yeah.
What a thrill. It was a show of all shows. Thousands of people were there just mulling, and it got down to the nitty-gritty. We were bringing the car up there to the podium, and everybody was standing. Nobody sat down. Nobody did that. It got down to a point where there was two people there, two guys. They were bidding, and they were looking at it. And he says, well, what do you think? Well, he says, I want it, you want it. He says, it'll never end. Let's do it this way. Let's flip a coin.
Wow, really?
So they got to the point of flipping a coin. Now, here's two guys bidding $4, $5 million, $6 million, and they had to flip a coin. They look at each other. They never had 25 cents in their pocket to flip a coin. They had to borrow it from the kid next to them.
That's amazing. So in the end, the car went for several $1 million. But so now it's in a private collection. Is it on display somewhere?
Well, it's not in a display. He was determined to have that car be his car. From the beginning, he took his living room in his big home in Phoenix and moved everything out, opened up the door so he could get it in, and then he drove to Barrett Jackson to get the auction, and he was determined to do it. And the two guys that were fighting for it, he ended up with it, and he takes it today all over Canada, all around for charity.
Where do you get your ideas from, whether it's the Monkee Mobile and it's got a little bit of a music theme and a surfing theme, or it's the Munsters Mobile? When you envision a project, what do you do first? What do you see?
First thing I see is the producer, the director, and then the stars. We all sit down and have a round table. Say, okay, what do we want to impress the audience? That's what we
Mm-hmm.
We don't care about whatever motor car company or whatever it is, but we want to be able to follow through with everything and make it real. And as much as I could, we always try to have it where the cars are all made in USA.
Nice.
And that way we keep it in our family and in our world. And that's the part that makes it most interesting, is that you always find a group, a team in the studios that all work with us. So it's a wonderful world, and I was very, very blessed. My wife, myself, my family, we all still carry it today. My son, my daughter, and we enjoy it, and it gives me the room to come out and visit with people like you in different cities and talk about what we do and what they can do and what is part of our world.
Is there a star or a movie that you wished you could have designed a car for, that you had a great idea and you just were not able to get involved in it? Any Frank Sinatra, any kind of car that you would think of?
No,
or a movie?
every personal cars were wonderful, and it got to a point where when I do a personal car, there was one young man I was doing a limousine for, and I got 20 guys working for me. He went around to every one of my 20 guys. Mr. Tubbs, how you feeling today? I heard you were sick last week. Mr. Tony, how's your 14-year-old boy? He knew everything about all 20 of my people, and then he'd come into the office to talk to me. And that young man was Elvis Presley.
No kidding.
Just to show you the kind of people we've had in our industry and the wonderful industry in the film industry, that they do comply with people.
Did you do a car for Elvis?
Well, I did a lot of cars for Elvis.
Which one did he like the most?
Well, the Cadillac, which is in the museum now, we actually put a food counter in there, a soft drink container, and we made the back look like in the portholes of a boat, because that's what he liked. And he was just a wonderful, wonderful man to work with. Even when he met Priscilla Presley in the service, and he'd come out home for a relief. He was having a party up at his home in Beverly Hills. 3 o'clock in the morning, everybody's getting ready to go home, and he says, Priscilla, I don't want you staying here in my home. I want you to go stay with my dear friends, George and Shirley. He was such a wonderful, kind, thoughtful man. And we enjoyed it.
Great
but
story.
most of them were all of them had something, no matter what it was. It was something kinky that we could all do.
Well, as a music fan, I love the Monkee Mobile too, and I see replicas of it around. It's a beautiful car, and the way that it was so long that it could seat so many people, and it was a fun car.
We
too.
worked with that with Dean Jeffries, who worked with me, and we had to have it where the car would fit and the instruments would fit.
Right.
And that's why the back compartment was longer than the front, because we had to have space.
Right. Well, beautiful. Well, welcome to Hollywood, Florida. We hope you come back. Everybody was very excited to have you here, and Cobra Joe Productions made it possible, and the shows just get better and better.
Well, that's the thing that makes it good. It's the production company and the people that put packages together to have it. People like myself come out and be a part of people, because that's what we love.
Right.
People and puppies. We love them all.
Well, we love you too. My congratulations
Thank
on a
you.
great career, and thank you for sharing it with us here on the video.